Hey, welcome in part 6 of the Malachi tutorial. In this video it's time to be creative and to play with our setup. So let's dive in. So I'm gonna go through all the main changes I did to end up with the final composition. So first thing is that the radius of the strands were a bit too thin. I wanted something with broader variation. So playing with the minimum and max radius, and then it's time also to make some broader changes on the rock. So I'm going back at the flat surface and try to deform it a little more with the bend, play with the direction and the angle to twist it, and also we can literally add a twist node. To make it work, we need to add some twist and have the capture direction in the proper axis that you want to orient it. In this case, I'm setting it in Z, and also the capture origin, you have to move it a bit to define where it starts. Yeah, so basically just playing with a bunch of parameters to end up with something that could be cool. So edge breakup in here, I think it was a bit too thin. Maybe we could make something thicker. Yep, something like that. It's probably a bit too much, but we'll see. Once we're happy with the rock shape, let's not forget to save it and reload the cache. All right, output rock. With the VDB, we got something like that. It's not so bad. Let's see with the rest how it's looking. It can take a bit of time to cook everything, but we'll get there. All right, it's not too bad. Some interesting shapes for sure. Gonna go inside the scattering and try to play with the density. So right now I'm playing with the slopes and the border attributes. So the border might be a bit too thin. I'm gonna increase it so that we get less crystal on the borders. And okay, let's change the seed. Yeah, that can be interesting for sure. I'm gonna play more with the orientation of those guys and try to see if we have some better result. Right now some crystals are intersecting with the rock, so that's not really ideal. Maybe we'll need to go back into the rock and decrease the bend. Alternatively, we could also set up another intersection for the crystal with rock intersection, but I think I'm just going to decrease the bend of that rock. Yeah, whatever I'm doing, there's still some crystal stuck inside the rock. That's pretty goofy. Interesting. Kind of making it worse, but all right, yeah, that could work. Actually, it was too thick, so I'm gonna reduce that. Yeah, let's try to export the cache and reload it. So it's definitely thinner and the bending angle is a bit less. We still get some interesting breakup, so I think that might just work. So trying to find a cool scattering. Basically just trying to get inspired by all the different seed of this scatter. Maybe this one could be interesting. Kind of thinking we could tweak a bit more the scale though. Okay, let's see. I think maybe the scale Y is too much. It really depends on the crystal geometry you have at the beginning too. Maybe mine could use some more work, but yeah. That might just work, I think. That composition looks a bit more dynamic, I think. Then I like to turn around and see what angle could be interesting for the final picture. So let's increase the number of strands, basically trying to increase the length so that it's connecting points a bit higher. But then we need also to decrease the overall amount, otherwise it's just like too much. Yeah, something thinner at the base, that could work. Then it's time to create a camera and try to set it and find a cool angle. At this point I like to experiment different focal length, since a wider one can get some very different results than a lower one. Like a value of around 20 will get you something kind of weird, but that could be interesting sometimes. From here is just photography skills. Feel free to find a cool angle, a cool composition. There's really no secret for that. There are some rules that you can apply to get a decent composition, but well, nothing is guaranteed. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think I'm gonna keep it this way. And I'm gonna add a grid just to check out the ground and the horizon. Yeah, something like that. Let's put it in here. And actually, I'm gonna clean up everything real quick. I forgot to add some stickers and network box so that it's looking a bit more organized. So if you want to pick up the projects file, is available on my Gumroad, so don't hesitate to have a look. If some things are confusing, well, it's at your disposition. One thing we haven't checked out yet is the look of the fibers with these geometries, and I pretty much anticipate that it's gonna look weird based on the number of strands that we had. It's like way too much, so we need to increase the number of procedural guides and decrease a bit the strands output curves. So I'm increasing the density in the procedural guides, and now we got some little patch here and there. Probably we should add more later, but let's see. Set lift, so that one is a bit too fuzzy. I'm gonna add a mask to break it up. Play with the frequency to try a decent size for these breakups. So I think that could work. Hair clump, pretty happy with that. Let's keep going. All right. So the length should be all right. Direction, I guess we could break it up a bit more with a mask. Let's go in the masking and use a noise mask. Yep, I think that could help. Hair clump, that's good. Set lift, okay. I think we're all set. It's not too bad, but it still feels very patchy, and I think we can increase the guide's density. And probably also the density of the hair gen. Yeah, we might probably tweak that a bit more during the renders. Just playing different seed real quick. just to be sure there is not something more interesting. Well, there is an infinity of choice, so that's gonna take a while, so I think I'm just gonna take this one. And yeah, next video we'll start the rendering. Just real quick, in the grid we're gonna try to shape that a little more like a studio. So let's press enter and the key number 3 on the keyboard to grab the edges, and from here we can do poly extrude, and let's change the transform extrude front to global and increase the translate Y. Could increase the distance as well so that it's not completely straight, and let's export the extrude back seam that we can call into the poly bevel so that we can create this kind of round edges like so. And if we increase the distance, we now get a nice round edge that could work like a lighting studio setup kind of thing. All right, I think we're ready to start the lighting.